that the person that's got the screen open will pretty much talk it through, and then Adrian's going to interject, because otherwise what was happening last time was I was constantly interjecting with him, and it was probably annoying. So, um,
No problem. No
but given
problem.
I got the control buttons, yeah. So you probably told Adrian this, but and I can see a little bit from the audit. But tell us a little bit about EXM, and how it's come about, and yeah, where you're at with it.
Yeah, so we started it probably, I think, 3 months ago or something like that, 2 to 3 months ago. It
Yep.
was just an idea that my business partner had, to be honest with you. So he started playing around with a few designs and that, and then we thought about putting them on t-shirts and jumpers, and yeah, so we've got a few designs out at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're sort of stuck on content wise and things like that, getting organic viewers to our page. So that was our strategy, to get people to our Instagram.
Yeah.
So that way we can drive them to the website and then so on and so forth. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why
What?
we're doing we're also doing a brand video as well.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a few other photo shoots and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, it looks really good. Like the photos that, from what I've seen and the way, yeah. So it looks like you've done a really good job in a really short amount of time, then, by the sound. So
Yeah,
that,
yeah. It's
that
been real quick. So yeah.
yeah. What was your background, Demi? Have you done sort of anything similar in the past, you or your business partner?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
He's more the creative side. I'm more this side, you know what I mean? Organizing
The
things
business
and
stuff. Yeah. Okay.
business stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sweet.
You know what I mean? I'm not really that creative, but I do give my 2 cents in every now and again,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
that's it.
But yeah.
Good. No, no. Well, that sounds all fine. Well, hopefully this will, what we go through will help you look really good to your business partner as much as anything else. We'll share what
Yeah,
we do.
yeah.
So we just a little bit of background. So we typically have probably worked with I don't know, an A to Z of business types. This sort of thing typically does better, as you said, particularly organic, because anything that in the main, because we're often working with professional services or trades or um, allied health. But when you start to get into, hospitality, I was just starting something with a liquor brand, anything, and then with what you've got here, merch, um, all of a sudden that crosses off from the need to educate to almost entertainment. And anything that has a bit more of a softy, more of an entertainment, is a lot more easy to share, becomes a lot more shareable, likely to do better organically. But that said, Instagram is a Facebook product, and Facebook isn't very generous organically, but you don't need to spend much nowadays to make it generous. In fact, in my time, I've been doing it a decade or more now, and it's never been more generous, particularly through COVID. And particularly, I think that's probably a little bit of TikTok spin off as well.
Yeah.
Is that now the dollar that, the people spend travels a lot further than what it used to. And, and particularly for a brand such as you, particularly the sort of thing. And you were mentioning with Instagram, really, the um, whilst you will do better on organic than most people will, you've actually said exactly what our strategy is, to get them to where they can actually buy the product back on the store rather than duplicating it on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
want to get them
exactly.
to the website. So that sort of marries up really nicely with our model. So which we'll talk about at the end as well. So yeah, but the first thing that Adrian has done here is we just go looking to see, and I think what he did, we were just talking about it earlier, is that because the business name is Eximius,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Whereas the brand realistically is EXM. So I think Adrian may well have gone with the other one first, but then he's gone EXM. Is we just put it into the thing, see what happens, right? So
Yeah.
now when we do this, there's a couple of things. Firstly, the good thing is that's you, right? So that comes up
Yep.
first for that name. Um, what would want to do potentially, if it doesn't look like you've created it right, a Google map, Google business profile. Having said that, unless it's been created and it's EXM Collection Melbourne, for instance, or you need to, sometimes I've had it where people have created them, but you have to almost write proprietary limited at the end or something or other. But what should come up if you've got a Google is actually this name, and you should have a Google map here. Yeah, you've seen that. So that's how you get Google reviews and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So
No, I
so
don't think we have that.
yeah, yeah. So we would create that with you in any case. So, and as you said, and it's 50% of businesses don't have it. Often the ones that do have it are street. street frontage businesses, and it's because the Google camera went past and it created them for them. So they don't often even have ownership of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so the Google map initially was created by Google, but nowadays service-based businesses can also create their Google profile and that sort of thing. Um, and then the rest of the stuff looks like that comes up is stuff that it thinks we've misspelt the name, right? So I don't think it's coming up on anything else. But let's say your brand had been because you knew. If it had been around for a little while, often and in the past, it would often come up with directory sites and that sort of stuff. I'm surprised, given you've named your Facebook page and Instagram, that it's not coming up yet.
Yeah, that's I
Um,
was going to add as well. Often you'll get the Facebook and the Instagram pages showing up on the first
in your
page as
search.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a bit surprised that's not there yet, but certainly the longer they're on and the more that they've got updates going through, they should be coming out. But this could be a little bit along the lines of yeah, Google and Facebook not being friendly enough yet, but that shouldn't take long to change, right? And the other
Okay.
one that's
I
often the
think usually
case.
when you
Mm, yep.
start to become more consistent with posting more regularly, that's when they sort of tend to show up as well.
Yeah, we were talking about before. If you're the more the business person behind it, and you've got what's your business partner's name?
Pablo.
Pablo. So Pablo's more the creative type, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so often what you can then have, even under LinkedIn, often the people that are behind the business, they become searchable for the business too. So that's the next sort of thing we'll look down here. But yeah, what you will find once they're set up and being posted to, that's what will start to come in. You'll almost have a full page full of your web and your social sort of stuff, to be honest. Um, you may, if you finish up in, depending on where you finish up in terms of if you get in stores or how your distribution goes, and I don't know clothing distribution specifically, but sometimes you'll finish up in directory type sites as well, fashion industry type ones or something along those lines. So, um, and if you get any PR, that sort of same sort of thing too. If PR often brings that sort of stuff up too. I mean, I thought your website was really quite cool, right? So again, it's a very what you'd expect almost from a retail brand type website, and whether it's online or so whether it's any form of content marketing, what typically works best is when we can kind of see real people, rather than just the shirts by them. So, we can kind of see ourselves. Particularly Adrian, he looks like these guys. So the old thing is whenever you're doing any content marketing, you want to make sure people can see themselves in it. And as I said, it's about, can I see myself wearing this shirt, or wearing the hoodie or whatever it might well be that you've got, right? Having said that, and just because of the way this has been saved, what we've been taught to read websites is kind of your $1,000,000, if you like, is this front page, right? And typically you're almost, there's an element to say, do you have a just do it, or it's this really exceptional, unique streetwear? That's probably your just do it in actual fact, right? So what I was going to say, there's an element or an argument that says we've been taught to read websites top left, down, and up, right? So in other words, your sort of positioning or your slogan, which you've got down here, which is cool, that's fine, and you've got your branding sort of well and truly where your brand is really front and central. This sort of icon, I guess you associate that with a few things, right? So almost that comes down into here. I've seen on a few things. I think even here, right, on the shirt, it sort of all sits together. And even in our, actually,
Is he
is he
still
still there?
away?
I think we
Or
might have
did he
just
drop
lost him.
out?
I think we might have
He
just
might have
lost
just
him.
dropped off.
Yeah, I saw he was moving, trying to move to
Yeah, I saw
resize it. I
it.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he might have accidentally clicked leave or something.
yeah.
Maybe it
Hopefully he'll
wasn't
come back.
loading.
Yeah. What I might do while we're waiting is I'll sort of start from here as well. All right.
They do have a oh, there he's back.
Hey, Demi, you're back. You're on mute, but you're back. Oh, sorry, fellas. Mic isn't working. Ah,
Okay.
It's is the mic not working, or is you just muted it? Oh, anyway. So okay, we use the chat. If you've got any questions, you can still hear us. Okay. Um, when I was going to say, when did it stop working? Um, the what sometimes happen is when you refresh, you can almost get it back. Yeah, but
Yeah,
anyway,
sometimes when you reload, it asks for permission again
yeah,
to for the mic and the camera.
yeah. If you're happy for now, but otherwise, yeah, just if you put your hand up and just put something in if you've got a question, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's, as marketers, we like people to be able to talk back to us. Otherwise we're just bloody advertisers. All right, but anyway, um, uh, Adrian will keep interrupting then as well. So that's good, Adrian.
Yeah.
But I was just talking before you jumped off, Demi, about the fact that we've sort of been taught to read websites in a particular way. Yours is perfectly professionally set up. The only thing that we've been sort of talking about is adding how you contact us and stuff up here, and all your socials, those sort of 6 socials. What you
Yeah, so he's
can,
got,
yep,
they do have the two socials on the
yeah,
bottom,
that's
the
right.
Facebook, and it's not showing up in the way
It's
it
not there, but yeah, but it is on there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we sort of suggest put them up here because you kind of want them to get to you as quickly as possible. And similarly with any calls to action, right? So um, I, we've got it on the other one. We do a little infographic, but this is kind of what I'm talking about. So this is where how you contact us, calls to action. And so that's typically, and you want to sort of make most things visible in that first thing before they have to drag down on the page. Because otherwise, they might sort of look at it and go, okay, cool. Whereas, and then the other thing you can think about is actually having, maybe the Instagram feed sitting on the page as well.
Yeah, so they've got that on the
They
bottom
have
as
that as
well.
well already. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
it's just not picking up in the PDF.
Okay, and it was opening to a new page, Adrian.
No, that's what I noticed. It opens over the top of the page. So all you like to do is when you with the social media icons, when people click on it, to open up in a new tab. That way, you're not sort of taking people away from your website.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what Adrian's sort of saying. So this stuff's sort of good in terms of telling it. In actual fact, what you'd find, this looks like a WordPress site. I reckon you'd be able to put you got a big chunky area here, mind you, but I reckon you potentially can put your icons up here as well in this top band, and that includes even email potentially if you want that sort of thing. But then what Adrian was talking about is you've got a lot of these sort of down here, but then I think what happens is it goes straight over the top of your website. And the problem with that is people may all of a sudden go, okay, well, that looks interesting. All right. But then go, oh, I've got a notification. I'd better, in fact, I'm in another business at the moment, but I've got a notification. And then all of a sudden I forget where I was and I don't go back. Yeah. So tell your web people, or if you're doing it yourself, just to open it into a new box, and that's what we'd be suggesting. And it's kind of what we do for ourselves, right? So all of your socials, when you click on them, you want it to go somewhere else. Yep, perfect. I can see you nodding, so that's a good sign. Awesome. And that's good pickup, Adrian. I think Instagram was okay though, wasn't it? And
I
Instagram
think
probably.
they were both the same.
Oh, were they?
You can check.
Okay, he's got a little note. Hands up. Yep. Oh yeah, Instagram was also going over the top too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just both of those ones. Just make sure that it's just opening our way. Um, okay. Um, so the next one, so that's the website. As I said, we provide that. And this is just what I was talking about here. Is Adrian's done a search just to see again, exam comes up instead of EXM. So that's a good and a bad thing. The good thing is we create the EXM collection as a brand and a business on LinkedIn, your company, and essentially, you're then shown as the business development at EXM. Pablo's shown as creative designer or whatever he might be at EXM, and then you can invite people to follow the company. And LinkedIn nowadays is actually much stronger organically as far as the algorithm goes than what Facebook is. So it's actually when we're posting, we'd be sharing across there. Different audience, more of a professional audience. But even so, again, it's something that can help from a search perspective. And then I don't know if you, Demi, have a LinkedIn profile. Did you look for that? We didn't know your surname, I don't
Nope.
think, Demi, did we?
Yeah, I wasn't able to search.
Maybe you do the chat, write Dimmy and your surname. But yeah, we'd want to make you, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Dimmy, what we'd want to do is make you, all star for your own business, effectively. Perfect. Thanks. That looks like Croatian, maybe? No, close. Serbia, is it? I can't. Do you know, Adrian? I don't know my
No.
countries. No, no. All I
No.
know is that they're good countries to visit, and they vote for each other.
That's
Macedonian.
it.
Now, very good. Awesome. Um, yeah. So, yeah, on that. So again, it's pretty straightforward in terms of making you the best representative for your business that you can be. Very good then if you're doing any. Me and Adrian are quite involved in the networking side of things, which is kind of how we came to know of you, right? And it's realistically LinkedIn now is almost like a live business card. It's just a way of sort of saying what you do and talking about your company as best and how you want to do that. But it's a really powerful sort of tool, in terms of, for you, it might be to talk to retail distributors or that sort of stuff, or depending on how you want to go about the development of business. um, I yeah, so on this one, clearly I know it's new, so it's only just been put up so you can capture the name. One of the things you want to make sure that the URLs with them, and I didn't double check, Adrian, you probably know, with the URLs, you want them all to be, you'll probably be able to get that EXM collection on everything. How many words is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You should be able to own that URL on every social media channel. So in other words, Twitter only allows you to have 15 characters that will fit in that. So you could have X/EXM collection. um, Instagram and Facebook pretty much let you knock yourself out. You can kind of go up to 50 or 100, but anyway, you don't really want super long, but it's good. You can own your own URL. There's probably an argument to say that because you're going to brand this down here with what your brand looks like, with that little icon in the EXM collection, you don't necessarily have to use that same sort of picture. In fact, I'd almost say don't use it. I'd almost have more real pictures of people sort of in there. You might have a number of people standing in products, because what typically looks good on print and banners and posters and stuff like that tends to sort of immediately look like selling on social media. And what you kind of want to do is try and create the relationship first. So if we're going through the feed and we're looking at, what Adrian, game he went to last week, or what our mates might be buying or doing, whatever, and you get the sponsored things in the middle, it's quite jarring if in between that you've got heavily graphicked imagery. Not so much on Instagram. Instagram's the only one, and the reason is because no one reads the posts on Instagram. They only look at the picture, right? So Instagram is the only time, and generally for Adrian and I, most of our clients, even though they're not as maybe sexy as your business, we're generally only using Canva type imagery for reviews, for instance, or where they've got a very, very low stock image pile, or sorry, image pile, whether it's their own or stock, because it just helps us sort of brand the imagery across everything, and it makes it a bit easier for us. But generally speaking, real people, real images work best. And and I'm sure you've got probably, or you'd be building a library of that sort of stuff. Would that be fair? Yeah. I think you said already at the start, you talked
Yeah.
about video and stuff too. Now, and video is the absolute killer, as far as it's the best thing to be using if you're going to be doing any advertising. So I might just talk on this sort of post here, right? So this here is a lot of freelance social media types. This is exactly how they post, right? Where they're thinking Instagram first and nothing else. And the reality is here, this sort of post, whilst it's a nice post and it's, looks good, reasonable, for a start, 3 to 4 hashtags are probably best on Facebook. And secondly, there's nowhere I can find out any more. So I can't learn more. I can't contact you because they've posted it to Instagram without thinking what's it going to look like back on Facebook. It's better to think Facebook first so that people can click through to where they can find out more information back on the website, minimal number of hashtags and how to contact you, and then push it through to Instagram and LinkedIn and Google Update and Twitter. Does that make sense? Because all those other ones, it's only Instagram that doesn't have a call to action button. Yeah, so it's the only one that's not linkable. So as I said, these ones are really nice. They're nice posts and they're good imagery, but the problem is they're kind of, and you actually when they are like that, you haven't getting the engagement now because no one knows it exists yet, right? Really, you've just put some content on there. But yeah, the reality is once you sort of start to educate, and particularly if you do any advertising promotion, you'll build followers. You mentioned about you wanting to grow the numbers on Facebook. We would still probably suggest doing we'd probably possibly in actual fact, Adrian, in this one, we'd probably split it 3 ways. So if you're thinking 2 by 2 by 2, where you'd go awareness, so you might choose depending on what sort of budget you're thinking, but let's say you had a $6 budget. If you're doing a $6 budget a day, then we'd almost say $2 to awareness, get as many people seeing the post as possible, $2 to traffic, so you're getting people coming to the website, and $2 to engagement. And if you do engagement, then with the people that engage on the Facebook post, you can invite them to follow the page as well. So that way you're no longer you're not promoting for likes, you're just promoting what the offer, but you're still able to draw people into the page. So that's kind of the sort of strategy that we use around campaigns for advertising. And so and that works quite well. Facebook, it's not the way Facebook wants you to do it, particularly a retail brand. They're probably after you spending, put a few zeros on the end, right? But the reality is you can for as little as $2 per campaign. As I said, so most of ours are doing $5 a day, but they might be splitting it for traffic and awareness only. Because if they've already got the numbers, they don't need to necessarily keep building the numbers, but you want to keep pushing people to the website and you want to keep the brand top of mind. So that's good. I'm going to, so yeah, so this is funny how this saved, Adrian. So we got a lot in there. Your Instagram looks awesome, right? To be honest. And again, it's sort of obvious. In fact, your Instagram probably is equal to your website at the moment. How are you going? So you are getting the followers that are starting to come in, but what you'll find is particularly I'm going to assume you haven't done any advertising yet. Is that true or no? No, nothing yet. So yeah, because I think as soon as people start to see the brand, you will start, particularly on Instagram, start to glean the following, basically, particularly with this sort of imagery. So this is exactly what I was saying. This stuff looks great on socials. Any real imagery looks awesome. And there's a place for these ones, but it's just not every post. Yeah, so there's always a place for that sort of stuff. Again, Adrian was able to PDF the entire Instagram feed, which is not a bad effort. Yeah, so what we do on Twitter, which is also, or X as it's now known. So we were just more looking to see whether the name is being used, and I can pretty much tell by this it's not being used. So it's available for you. The advantage, particularly for a brand like yours, just get access and connect with people that you couldn't otherwise easily get access to, whether that's, sporting industry, racing, fashion, whatever it is. And really the only way to easily, well, to grow an X brand without spending money is just follow other people. So you can follow up to 2,000 others that are relevant. You'd probably want to, when we do the planning session, it's kind of your homework, is to go away and follow as many strategic things. So Melbourne fashion, as I said, if it's sport, wherever, depending on where you want to get it out to, you follow all of those people so you get their attention, and hopefully you start to get them following you back. To start with, you're not even worried if they don't, because at least you've got their attention to some degree by following them in the first place. And the thing is, when you go to other brands, so if you use, I don't know, say what's on Melbourne or Time Out Melbourne. So when you go to a Time Out Melbourne, if you're following Time Out Melbourne, at least it helps place you. And then I can go and see, oh, they're following Time Out Melbourne. Oh, they look interesting. I might follow them as well. You know what I mean? So other people that are following similar things. But we do that on all the channels. That's that sort of B2B follower. It's other than spending on ads, it's the only way you can really grow pages. YouTube's a bit of a funny one. Again, same reason. It's not something that we're going to post to, but you've already said you're going to get videos done up. It's probably the best of the landing pages. So in actual fact, although I have noticed they've kicked out. They used to have all the icons and the links. You can still put all your links in, but they no longer seem to put all the icons on the homepage. But the reality is, with your YouTube channel, you can put your about details. It's a Google product. It's going to help you from a search perspective. If you're doing any videography, and let's face it, it's particularly that sort of stuff you're doing around people wearing the stuff. Probably just as easy to do a short 15-second as what it is just to take a photo. So yeah, so that's kind of the audit. I don't think. Oh, the other thing is, I don't think I added it, but I did think that for your brand, you would want to set up a TikTok as well. So I would suggest, and we just set up TikTok exactly the same as you set up an Instagram. We wouldn't spend too much time, and in actual fact, our scheduler doesn't schedule it to it very well. So we can schedule. We use this thing called Publer, right? And we can schedule to all the different ones. So that's our one there, right? So, and I did actually have TikTok in there, but I was finding I'm better off actually just taking it off the phone and sharing it from the phone rather than trying to share it from a scheduler, because then in the scheduler, for some reason, it doesn't enable us to put the wording we want to put in there, right? Whereas it does for everything else. But I just think with your brand, um, um, I don't think it's a hard guess to think that you're going to be trying to get to people that are under 30. So you may as well go on TikTok, so you may as well have that. And again, it's another one that you'd add to the website so that, again, we do that as well, just to, it's just something that I think for you, you'd want to own, because again, you're just going to own the name. And look, you could even, I mean, dare I say it, because of what you do and you're a creative guy, we do post for a architect. We actually post to Pinterest, and Pinterest is a really interesting one because Pinterest doesn't have a great following. As in the numbers are far less than everything else, right? Since Instagram sort of came in and took over, I think it's about 250,000 Australians, but it's really its organic algorithm is really high. It's quite engaged. So for us to add Pinterest into the platform for scheduling, it's $5 a month more. So it's almost worth doing just to own it. And it's just another place where people can find you, right? So, yeah. And had I not been doing some work with this designer, I wouldn't have really thought to do that. But having seen what they get, it's just something that you may as well own the name. And for those ones that are more highly engaged, yeah. So that's kind of the audit. It's sort of let me just plug. I've got this other thing that's here. Do you want to I know the mic's not working. Do you want to? Sorry, let's just go back. Do you want to? Do you want to have one go, Dimmy, at just refreshing your screen and try talking to us again? Just refresh it, the whole thing, yeah. Because sometimes, normally it's if they're in first, isn't it? Hello, hello, hello. No, still the same. So it's put you straight on mute, but yeah, you're still no good. That's okay. All right. Did you? So I've moved across to here, but yeah. So any questions from the audit at this stage? Oh, good. Okay. No, that thumbs up will do. But yeah. Yeah. So Adrian, I'm going to need you to speak because we used to actually have team meetings all together, and Adrian knows that I don't do too well when I get dead air at the other end. It makes me think, oh, I'm monopolising the conversation. Yeah. So really what we sort of just went through there, Dimmy, so we setting up these social medias down the bottom, and we're using a strategy that is, basically taking product details from your website and just sharing it to the feeds, right? So whether it's product, it could be testimony, it could be reviews, it could be why you're a sexy brand, so it may be those three sort of streams. It'll be probably quite heavily product, but that doesn't mean it's just picture of the product. It looks like you've got a lot of images that we could use to share across. And realistically, it seems like there's probably a lot of images that you may well have already shared to Instagram, but I wouldn't be too worried about that, right? Because people often think about curating an Instagram wall. No one looks at it, well, other than creative types, the only people that, yeah, realistically, it's all about feed. Doesn't matter what channel you're on. It's all about seeing it in your Instagram feed, a post, right? So your followers will see a percentage of them, and the people you advertise to will see an element of them, right? So so think feed, and you not have to be too concerned that if you've posted a picture 3 months ago that it's being reposted again, because it's probably a really good picture or a really good video. Yeah.
It is
Um,
quite rare for people to be going onto your page unless they're going there to follow you or something.
yeah.
Then more often than not, they're just
Yeah.
seeing your stuff through the newsfeed.
Yeah. So yeah, even so, actually in Insights, it does tell us how many people have visited the page. So even for some of our more popular ones that might have, say, 1,000 followers, they'll be lucky to get 50 people that went to the page, whereas they've often got 15,000 people that are seeing their posts in the feed, right? So you don't have to worry too much about um, repetition, within reason. So we often sort of, when you're doing Facebook posts, there's almost like 3 rows, which is almost, I think it equates for hours. It'd be a couple of months, right? So usually what we try not to do is repeat too often. So, as I said, and at the same time, even with Canva things, it's often the same looking post, but it's just got a different wording, basically in it. Um, yeah, but anyway, so we're taking information from here and we're repurposing it down to here. Um, as the business brains of EXM, then realistically, kind of we set up here in the marketing, in the marketing communications area, right? And the way we sort of, this is your organic posts, and it's, there's all sorts of other things you could be doing, whether that's, as I said, business networking, SEO, flyers, whatever it is, there are other communication, emailing, but we're setting up there organically, and then this is kind of your paid stuff. So anything you do in the paid area, that's how we distinguish it in our house. If you've heard of the sort of terminology content marketing, that's just the wording you use and the imagery. So yeah, so in other words, and when you're looking at wording, I haven't double checked on the website, but usually you try and speak to the reader. So in other words, you'd look fabulous in this, you know, EXM hoodie or whatever it is. So it's about you. So that they're reading it's you and your rather than we and our. So rather than saying how great we and our is, there's a place for that. If you win awards and that sort of stuff, that's all cool. But otherwise, it's about sort of trying two to one almost, 2 to 1 you, your, to we, our sort of thing. So yeah, and then it's kind of knowing, and maybe I'll get you to maybe type it in, but as far as the customer that you're targeting, is there sort of a particular type of edgy? I'm thinking I mean, streetwear in itself. Is there an age group to that? I mean, I'm thinking it's going to look better on Adrian than me, for instance. Yeah. And if I was to say to you, if there's a brand out there at the moment that your business partner or you like, that you think you're probably trying to take a chunk or trying to take a percentage of, is there any sort of competing brand that you're sort of looking at and thinking they seem to do things pretty well, or we like that style? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there's a
Yeah.
couple.
I'll get you to actually go in the chat one, Adrian, and then you can copy what stuff Dimmy's done, so we don't miss it, and then you can put it back, and when we do then we've got it too. South Side Street, really, okay, cool. All right. And then, there might be others. So again, it's just about sort of knowing who the customer is, making sure that your offer is as good as those ones, effectively what you own, the materials is the same quality. Clearly you're going to have different design, but you want to make sure that it's a solid offer. What makes you different? Well, part of it's going to be, your design. I imagine they're going to be of a different design. It's a new brand, it's a different design. So it makes you special. You're the new kid on the block to a degree, right? So down here, you know how you would have heard of B2B, B2C. Typically, you're a B2C brand, right? Effectively, you're selling to consumers. But once social sort of came around, um, all of a sudden, people are just people, right? So, in other words, your strategic partners can talk to you or about you on social media. Your competitors can to some degree as well. So, realistically, when we talk about this part here, In the first instance, as I said before, we want to make you all-star on LinkedIn, but everything else is about your business, including on LinkedIn. Your network isn't just the clients. It's actually who is it that's going to perhaps be, you know, tell people about you. You know, do you have other people, whether it's press, it could be networks, whatever it might well be. As I said, could be clubs or whatever that you might finish up with. We've talked a little bit about what are your rivals doing, make sure we're doing it better or at least as good. Um, we're always pretty confident on the socials we can be doing that, because often they do tend to focus too much on one area rather than another, and starter brands have the advantage of being able to come at it from from all avenues almost. um, and then the people that have been, that have shown interest already, and you've sort of shown that age group, and maybe where they're from, or what are they interested in, they're the people that we'd be targeting, particularly around any advertising. um, and then this stuff over here, probably not quite so accurate around the fashion industry, because they would have taken up social media pretty hotly. But in most small businesses, less than 50% have any socials, and that's usually a Facebook page. But of them, less than 30% have ever advertised, and we know that Facebook's not very generous when it comes to just organic posting. So essentially, the combined element of organic posting with at least a minimal amount of ongoing advertising tends to become the powerful sort of getting your message out to the people that don't know you yet. So that's the thing. The repeat messaging starts to become important to the people that do know you and want you to do well, so in business. So, um, and then, like any good marketing, well, we do it's a little bit higher on this document. So we do a sort of 5-hour day. It's a 3-hour plus 2-hour session to get us on and revise any of those platforms, create and revise any of them. We have sort of management fee, which I'll show you above, and then ad campaigns. That's what I was talking about in terms of probably that sort of $5 or $6 a day consideration. And then for you, it's like, well, okay, how many? And you could do this for every marketing communication, but how many items do I want to sell in the end to make this pay its way? So ultimately, particularly around your monthly spend, if you're going to be spending $300 on social media and Facebook advertising, let's say every month, well, presumably you want to be shifting a lot more than that on through the website. Yeah. Um, so this that we're doing today, I guess the first thing actually before I do that, so I don't know if you read this part here. So ultimately, the first intent is to protect your brand across all of the social media sites. Those 6, potentially 8 sites for you, but let's call it 6 plus 2. Differentiate from what your competition is doing. Be top of mind with the people that know you and that start to know you, because then it's repeat messaging, and then increase business development opportunities. So as I said, ultimately you want to sell some product, because if you don't sell some product, well, it would be a nice exercise. Yeah, exactly. You'll never be worse off, because as I said, you'll be set up and the brand will be worth a bit more because of all your online assets. But the reality is money talks, let's face it, you know. And so, yeah, so what we tend to do is we do the audit. If and then we do this session that we're doing today. If people then proceed with us, we don't charge any of this, so that's actually free. If we walk away and I send you the video and you say, well, thanks very much, and then Adrian has to phone you 10 times, then maybe in a month or two I'll send you a bill for $203. But otherwise, today is, as I said, is covered. That 5-hour session, as I said, so to do the setup, we can separate them sometimes, because it is a long day, 5 hours, but we can either do them over a couple of days, not necessarily consecutive days, or we can just smash it out in one day, but it's a 5-hour session. With this part is just making sure that we're on everything, they're all set up the way they should be, and you're then integrating them back to your website. Uh, that's the first part. And then the second thing is then largely around connecting, showing you how to connect. Some of it's your homework, but we do go through how to connect. We look at your Facebook Ads Manager and making sure that your meta business is set up correctly and your advertising with saved audiences, and meta pixels that go behind your website to measure how many people are going through. And then we talk about what are we going to post. If we're posting, I've sort of done it as a sort of every second day. This is just so you know the differences between these ones. So we don't we kind of suggest without telling you, right? So every second day is this one that I'm maybe suggesting is every second month reporting. So that would just be talking about how's it going every 2 months, and it's every second day posting. This one is twice a week posting, every 4 month reporting. And this one is everyday posting and every month reporting, just so you know. So that's the three. And when I say every day, 5 days a week, not Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. So that's that. Facebook, you pay directly to Mark Zuckerberg. And whilst we don't per se. So again, that's separate from us, and we do create that for you. We do. It has been 10%, but in actual fact, we got a slight change, and we haven't changed it for 3.5 years. So we're just changing our pricing in November, where so that one I've mentioned then, so that'll go from 282. It goes up $10, right? So to 292, and then the management fee will actually going to go from 10% to 15%, just for us to manage to make sure that everything's doing what it should be doing. Most agencies will charge you 30% before you even blink. 30% would actually be low. The reason we don't charge that is because we're often doing the posts anyway. So we're already posting often. It's just about promoting a really U-Butte post. And clearly for us, that means usually there's one main post that would be promoting the brand and the types of merch that's available through the streetwear that's in the brand. Not chopping and changing your ad every 2 weeks or 4. It actually doesn't work quite so well. You would find your target audience we would probably set you a target audience of about 250,000. And we normally suggest that people try and conquer Melbourne first, conquer Victoria, conquer Sydney, conquer and do it. They call it the Olympic rings, right? You sort of go out, and then when you kind of get more exposure, because otherwise, particularly around advertising, it'd be quite expensive to try and conquer them all at the one time. Now, doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You could always test it. You could always promote it into, do Melbourne and Sydney and do a split test, because realistically, let's face it, I guess the difference for you is just probably the shipping cost, maybe that sort of thing, potentially. So again, but that's something you could split test. In fact, so in actual fact, for you, probably the Olympic rings don't necessarily look like from Melbourne into country Victoria. I'm thinking they possibly look more like Melbourne into Sydney, into the bigger metropolises, because they're probably where more money is, and the kids are trendier and all that sort of stuff, So yeah, but that's all. That's how it plays out. I maybe what you could do, Dimmy, if you wanted to, so that we could hear, if you were to give Adrian a call and he puts you on speaker, we'll be able to hear. Do you want to do that? Yeah.
I might just take my headphones out then, just so the...
Oh yeah, true. And then you just put it on speaker. Yeah. Does it come through? Better make sure it's not my wondering.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me there?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear Steve?
I can hear. Yep. Probably get a bit of reverberation, but anyway, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know what we could do, Adrian, actually, is maybe I stop. We want to be able to. I'm trying to think the way that we could actually stop the reverberation. But anyway, Demi, any questions?
No, not at the moment. So with that 5-hour session, what I wanted to ask you, Steve, is that in person? We do that in person. I bring all the details and everything like that.
No,
Yeah,
we do it at. Sorry. Yep.
Well, we've got the option. We can do it in person, or we can do it online as well. We tend to do them online, but we do have our co-working space in Sunshine where Steve's at the moment that we can sort of work through as well.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and the advantage of it is of doing. Sorry, I'll just try and work out how to stop my Probably don't need to screen share for now.
Maybe if I
What I was going to say for Dimmy, um, yeah, realistically, with your screen that you're using at the moment, if you click at the bottom and it's got share, and then it asks you what you want to share. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I've just done. So you'd be the reverse of what I've just done. And you can go, it'll say tab, window, or entire screen.
So which one should I press? Share screen.
Yep, share screen. There you go. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that looks like it's sharing probably a tab at the moment. But the reality is, if you do entire screen, we would just basically we'd open everything up. So we use a thing called Basecamp, but then we'd open all the social medias up, and we'd just talk you along effectively as around setting it up and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of saves quite a bit of time. What we'd want to make sure is that you could do is that you'd be able to use the mic, though. That would be the main thing. I think we'd want to make sure. And I reckon, I think the only reason that might be is because we were already on the call, but it's unusual.
I think I'm going to restart my computer. It's been coming up for like the last 5 minutes that I've got to restart it. So I think that's why it's
Yeah.
playing up.
Well, it worked at the start of the meeting.
Yeah, it worked at the start, no problem.
Somehow it drops
it
out.
could be you might have to go into your settings and sort of update the permissions. Because sometimes your web browser you need to sort of select the right permission for each of the websites and stuff.
I tried to plug in his headphones. I thought that would work, but yeah, it didn't work at all.
Yeah, it's a weird one. In worst case scenario, you'd actually have it so that so if Adrian turns his mic off at the moment, the problem is, so you'd almost do it the reverse. So the person, I'm just trying to think how you could make it. You could hear dim. I've done them before, but I can't remember getting this much feedback, which is unusual. And I wonder if it's because there's 3 of us on it. But anyway,
Maybe.
yeah. But I also wonder if it's because of the fact that I started sharing and I also was recording, and that may have also had an impact because maybe your settings aren't, often with the recording, that can have an impact too, depending on what one you're on. So in any case, you're asking about the 5-hour session. As I said, as Adrian said, we can do that in person, but I reckon 93% get done on this way. But whereabouts are you based?
I'm in near Caroline Springs.
Oh yeah, well actually, you're near Adrian. Yeah. So yeah. So well, again, it would be up to you. I mean, what sort of laptop are you working off? Yeah, just a regular laptop.
Just a regular Lenovo,
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So clearly you could take that around easy enough. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, that would be up to you. If you felt like you wanted to, we could have as a potential backstop, but otherwise, yeah, normally.
If it's possible to do online, we can do it online, no problem.
Yeah, online works good. We just need to
Steve,
work.
I just thought of maybe
Yep.
if I add you onto the call, then we all turn our mics off. Maybe that would be better with the sound.
You could try that. Yeah, actually, that's not bad. Let's give it a go. Yeah, sure. Will I get a call? There you go. Okay. All right, and then what? We turn our mics off.
Hold on, let me just try and merge.
I better make sure I can hear you. Oh yeah, you got to merge them back then.
not actually letting me merge the calls because usually you can add as a conference call.
I reckon we're going to be able to work out the best way in between now and when we might do it anyway. But you're right, it's the I thought you were onto it. So you clearly can't hear you're not getting Demi talking anymore, right? But Demi can probably still hear me on the computer at least. That's something. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
All right. All right, Demi. Yeah. What do you want to do? You want to ring Demi back, or Demi can hear us, so it's all good.
Yeah, I just had to call him back because it
Yeah.
hung up when I was trying to merge them both. It wouldn't let me merge them both.
Yeah. So Demi, so the next step really is just to if you want to do that, usually for us, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are best. But yeah, it's just a matter of talking, even with the business partner, if and when would best suit you.
Yeah. I find our session's quite long. I mean, we might have to split it up because I finish at 3 and he finishes at 5. So, yeah, we'd have to work out a time definitely.
Yeah, okay, so he's at 5, okay. Is that every day?
Monday to Friday,
Yeah,
yeah. 9 to 5.
You're all on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably the thing for him is maybe he comes in on the back end of it. If you're the business guy.
I think I just have to explain it to him.
Yeah, and you'll have this recording from today with all the sound effects. But probably, as you said, the best bet would be to split it over 2 days and do one from 3 o'clock one day and do one from 3 o'clock another day. So you'd sort of do 3 hours and 2 hours.
Yeah, I think that'll be best,
yeah. Yeah, and maybe Thursdays, I think, Adrian, because that's usually when we meet. Thursdays might be a day to consider.
Sweet.
Yeah?
Sweet. I think Thursday will do good, yeah. I could probably finish earlier as well. I could probably get it down here at 2:30, I reckon. Yeah. Okay. So we might be able to start at 2:30, finish 5:30. And then do another session another Thursday.
Yeah, just a week after. And that's probably not a bad way to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, let's did you want to organise that through email so there's no reverberation like this? Or?
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, do you next Thursday is probably not the best one because we head into grand final day the next day.
Yeah.
Do you want to push it back one more Thursday? Would that be okay? Or actually,
yeah, that'll be perfect, yeah.
I'm just thinking the only thing I said that no, actually the week after would be fine, I reckon.
5th of October.
Yeah, Thursday the 5th. At this stage, I'll say 2:30, Demi.
Perfect.
2:30, yep.
Would the following Tuesday suit you at all?
Let me just check my calendar. It should. As in,
just to finish off the 2 hours, you could do it from 3 o'clock on the Tuesday on the 10th.
Yep, that works for me too.
Yeah.
Which Tuesday did you say?
I think it's the 10th of October. Is it Tuesday the 10th or? Yeah, must be.
Tuesday 10th of October.
I reckon I'm flying to Adelaide that day, but so I might make it 2:30 again and see if you can get back early. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Let's aim at those 2 days then, and then Adrian will do like we did before. Either between Adrian and me, we'll just get a calendar invites out, and then we'll send you all the details. There's a checklist that we're going to work through and that sort of thing too. So that will also help with your with Pablo in terms of just knowing what it is that we're going to work through.
Fantastic. All right, beautiful.
Brilliant.
Well, that's sorted then, fellas.
Wasn't Dimmy? That's great. No, and I reckon we'll be able to work out this audio as well by then. I'm hoping.
I might get a mic or something. I don't know. We'll see. There's a bit of time before the 5th.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right. No pressure.
All right. Thank you very much, fellas.
Thanks, Dimmy.
Have a good one.
See you too.
See ya.
Okay, I'll just stop